Hey everyone, welcome to the KE Report and a company update from Valkea Resources, chatting with the President and CEO Chris Donaldson. The company is just starting its fall exploration program at the Paana Project in Finland, planned for up to 2,000 meters, at least initially, focused on this Koivu Zone, the zone that was drilled last year too, with some encouraging results. So I'm going to get Chris to outline the overall goals, strategy, and some finer details of this drill program. Valkea is traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol OZ, on the OTCQB under the symbol OZBKF, and the Frankfurt Exchange S600. So, Chris, you're back on the ground at the Paana Project. As I said, the focus right now being on this Koivu Zone because of the holes and the success you had last year. So remind everybody some of those holes, the headline holes, and give us some insights on what you're going to be doing here in terms of stepping out from those prior results.
Yeah, hey Corey, thanks for having me. Hope you had a good summer. I think we both noted that it's been a lot busier than it has been in a number of years, and in a good way. Just the markets are picking up and lots of activity going on, and yeah, we're pretty excited to get back and start drilling. The last campaign ended, I guess about March or so earlier this year. We did a financing which we closed up in the end of June. So we're able to get back out there and build on some of the success that we have. If you remember, in the last campaign, we identified a new zone, which we're calling the Koivu Zone, which, it's what we found there is that it's got kind of disseminated Ikkari style mineralization, and Ikkari is more similar to, or it is Rupert Resources deposit that they have there as well. So yeah, we hit some good long section of mineralizations, 55 meters at 1.6 grams and 36 meters at a gram and a half. And so we're going to do a couple of thousand meters to start and do some step outs on those areas, and as well as do some target generation across the project as well. We really want to strengthen our pipeline of drilled targets. Not that we're not pleased with the one we have, but it's always good to have a couple going in the background as we move along and kind of advance those in the pipeline. I'm always reminded of Rupert Resources. They came out of the gate and had some great results, but they're really their best target ended up being their fourth target that they had. So yeah, starting this week, drills are mobilized and be a couple of month campaign, and hopefully start getting some results back in early fall here.
So looking at figure 2 from that news release that outlines the Koivu Zone within this larger target of about 1.3 kilometer strike. You do mention that, look, the focus is on this Koivu Zone, but you might also be drilling some of these other rectangles, the Koivu Zone being red, the other ones being more in that yellow-orange color. What does that look like process-wise of where the drill is going to be turning first and then where it's moving to?
Yeah, so it's a bit fluid. We know the holes we want to drill initially, and then we'll see what kind of results we get out of those. And we kind of have we do have two zones: the Koivu Zone that I just talked about, and another zone which is the Honka Zone, which is more Kittilä-style, which is of course Agnico Eagle's mine, which is right next to us. And it's a little very high grade results that we got in there. What we don't know is if those two zones are connected, and so we may drill in what we'll call phase 2 in between those two zones and see if it's one big pit or potential for one big pit, or if we've got two different zones here. But we'll do the initial drilling in the Koivu Zone and to see what we have there. We're also relogging some of the old core, always trying to get a better handle on the structure. We certainly have a better idea now than we did when we first got the project almost a year ago. So yeah, I mean, we'll do these drill holes initially, and wait and see. We're not spending all the money, so we'll have a little bit of powder left, and we'll decide at that point where we'll drill next.
Regarding this relogging of historical core, give us some insights here. What are you hoping to gain from it? And where is this historical core from on the project?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of drilling that has been done in the Koivu Zone before, but there are a couple. So trying to get some insights on that, and then also from what was done previously in the Honka Zone. So we've got some really good structural guys working with us through Geopool, which is the company that we contracted, and just hoping to get a better understand of the different geological events, because it appears that there were a couple of them in this area. So yeah, just better information coming in, and that only helps us as we keep drilling here.
So with this relogging, will it help targeting? And even further down the road, I know it's early to talk about this, but could those old holes, these relogged holes, be part of a resource?
Yeah, I mean, it all kind of ties in together, and we certainly haven't. It's too early to talk about a resource here, but what we are hoping is that we'll have a better idea at the end of this program, and probably another one about the same size is how to quantify what we have here. Do we have another Ikkari? Do we have another Kittilä? Is there 1 million ounces around it? So these step outs we're doing is certainly thinking forward that one day this will lead into an inferred resource, but we'll certainly have to do quite a bit more drilling before we're able to talk resource.
Fair enough, but you're back on site drilling this Koivu zone. You did also mention this target generation. You're doing some base of till drilling across a few different target areas. Give us more color on that. How many target areas are you looking at, and how could this all play into, I guess, the series of drill programs that I'm sure you're looking forward to?
Yeah, so you got to remember this whole area is covered by 5 to 15 meters of till. So kind of the accepted exploration method is there's an extra step. You'll do your soils and your kind of on ground and above ground geophysics and so forth, and then you do base of till drilling, which is shallow drilling, just to get a sense. If you're seeing the same pathfinders that you're seeing in the soils, and if you do, then you start going lower. So our targets that we have, there's 2 or 3 key ones that we're quite excited about on the Valkea East, which if you look at our presentation, it's identified there. It's about 3 kilometers from where we're at. And also on our other project, which is a little further north that we're quite excited about, called Rova.
Now, when do you think you'll have any results back? And on this base of chill drilling, I guess even more importantly, is what's the process of building up these targets to be drill ready?
Yeah, I mean, so let's go talk timing here. We're starting today, and it'll be about a 2-month program, and results are, we've been quoted kind of 6 to 8 weeks on that. But if some of the big boys come in with the big project, the Agnicos and Kinross and B2 and Rupert around us, then sometimes those timelines for smaller companies to take a bit longer. So we should start seeing some results, certainly in November, hopefully a bit sooner than that. But yeah, as I mentioned, once we get these base of tills, we've already identified some target zones, and if the base of till matches with what we see in the soils, and we're seeing those pathfinders of gold or arsenic, then we'll declare them, some targets that be set up for future deeper drilling.
Okay, but right now, focus on this Koivu zone, on the Paana Project. That's where the drills are turning, and that's going to be the near-term news flow and the catalyst behind that. Running this exploration program, you did also announce the appointment of a new exploration manager. What's important about this? And give us a little background on this individual, please.
Yeah, so we were able to find a really great candidate, Jens Ronquist, and we are based in Vancouver. Our head geologist, our chief geologist, is Dr. Chris Leslie, who is part of the Blackwater discovery, travels back and forth. And we've hired contracted a group called Geopool. Again, they have done a lot of work for a bunch of the majors in the area. They were running B2 Gold's campaign previously. But we really wanted somebody on the ground all the time representing us, not just kind of acting in between Geopool and us in Vancouver, but also for the community relations. And Jens fits that bill. He's got a lot of good experience leading exploration programs, with a bunch of majors, primarily focused in Finland. He's also worked with stakeholder engagement with Rio Tinto, and that's important. You need to have good contact, constant or consistency of people talking with the locals there. In our case, it's primarily the local reindeer herders. So yeah, we're really happy that we've got him on the ground, and yeah, both Chris and I will be heading back there, several times here during this campaign. And speaking with Jens, who's really, his main task is just to really understand the rocks and walk the land, day in and day out, and know everything intimately here. So happy to start building out our team on the ground in Finland.
Let's also just comment a little bit on Finland there. There's a lot going on in Finland in terms of exploration and major companies as well. Just give us the lay of the land, as we usually talk about, but what's going on in and around where your projects are?
Yeah, it's a unique area. I mean, we've got a dominant land position there. We're right next to Europe's largest gold producer in being Kittilä, that's owned by Agnico Eagle. We've got Kinross Gold with an exploration project right next to us. And then on the other side of us, we've got B2 Gold with their joint venture with Orion Resources. And then 50, 60 kilometers away, you've got, one of the best success stories over the last 5, 10 years, and that being Rupert Resources here. So it's still, it's a very coveted area. It has emerged now as a globally significant gold exploration and production area. It was just ranked #1 by the Fraser Institute as the #1 mining jurisdiction in the world. So it's no wonder that all these majors want to get in there. So, other things, we had a phenomenal registry with our last financing. We were able to get cornerstone investors, headed by Michael Gentili and other very, very significant people in the market. I think yesterday, Orion, they didn't disclose who it was, just got another cornerstone investor came in, I believe, for almost $10 million and 6 or 7% of their company. So there's money coming into the area, and the trick, of course, is you got to find something, and that's why we're so keen on getting in here and drilling and seeing, if we have the next Rupert, and you need the drill bit to prove that out. So, looking forward to being able to report to you in the fall here and seeing where we're at.
All right. Well, Chris, I'll follow up with you when you get back some of these drill results, because that is the near-term catalyst right here. Very curious to see how this follow-up drilling goes to extend some of those holes from the prior program. Again, Chris Donaldson, President and CEO of Valkea Resources. Click the link in the show notes to read over the recent news and learn more about the company, and email me, fleck@kereport.com, with any questions you have for Chris. Chris, thanks for the update today.
Thanks, Corey. Enjoy the rest of the summer.